Hey guys, today we're going to move on to the next steps for our Cellar Craft Cabernet Sauvignon wine kit. If you like these kinds of videos, make sure to click the little subscribe button on the bottom, and if you want to get notified for new videos, click the bell next to it. It's been about 14 days since I've started this wine, and the primary fermentation is completely finished. It's done bubbling, and the hydrometer reads about 0.995, which is pretty much as dry as it's going to get. It could creep a little bit lower than that, but it seems to be pretty much done fermenting. So we're going to move on to the next steps with this wine. And if you've seen the first part of this video, you'll notice that I've sort of drifted off of the instructions on this, and I'll do some stylistic things of my own. And because I'm not going to drink this wine in 1 month, I can try to make it a little bit of a bigger and a bolder wine. What I've got in this glass is some pre-mixed sulfites, and that's what comes with your kit, a little 4-gram packet of potassium metabisulfite. And I've just dissolved that in water, warm water. And I'll pour that into the carboy that I'll be racking this wine into. And 4 grams on a 6-gallon batch is about 100 parts per million free SO2, which is a pretty good dose of sulfites. I wouldn't really think you're going to have to add a lot more after that, unless you rack it a lot. But as long as you don't rack it too many times, that should hold you over for quite a while and keep this wine protected from oxidation. Now, some things you'll notice is if your wine goes bone dry, you might notice that your skins sink to the bottom. And if you've got any oak chips, they'll probably sink also, partly because they're becoming waterlogged, but also because that wine's becoming lighter and lighter relative to those skins. So that's kind of a good visual indicator that things are finished up. And in my case with a bucket, it's kind of obvious because you'll stop seeing the top of that bucket kind of bubble up. So we'll go ahead, and now we've got our 4 grams of sulfite in our racking carboy here. And I'll go ahead and I'll get this racking cane started. I'm going to use my fancy water in the racking cane method to get this thing going. And you'll notice I don't stick the cane all the way to the bottom here, because I just don't want to pick up all that sediment quite yet. I don't mind splashing this around a little bit at this stage, because there's going to be a little bit of degassing happening. And this wine's really going to be saturated in CO2, so it's pretty protected from oxidation at this stage. Do make sure that your racking cane is sanitized. I got all but about the last 3 inches of wine out of the bucket before the skin started to clog up my racking cane. So what I'll do now is I'll pour the skins through a strainer, kind of squeeze out that little bit of juice from the skins. And I'm going to be careful not to pick up too much of the gross lees or sediment that's underneath the skins, because that's not something that you want in your wine while it's aging. You can have a little bit of sediment, but anything beyond about, 3/8 or 1/2 of an inch, you're going to want to rack that wine off, because it could kind of start to create a little bit of hydrogen sulfide, kind of stink up that wine a little bit. And it's just not something that you want to do. So I've got a funnel. I'll run it through a strainer, and it's going to be a pretty simple operation. I got as much wine out as I felt comfortable without getting too much of that sediment on the bottom. And what you would do normally now is kind of degas this, churn it up really good, and then add your oak chips that came with the kit. And in this case, it's Hungarian medium toast. And as always, I'm going to kind of drift a little bit off, but not too far off from the instructions. So I'll churn it up really, really good here, just to let a little bit of that CO2 out. And I've already done this a few times, so this is just the last little bit here. And you don't have to get it all, but it's a good time to degas quite a bit because the wine is pretty well protected at this stage from oxygen. Got a lot of, aggressive tannins and things to kind of, SO2 tannin, things to kind of grab up those oxygen molecules as they try to get in that wine. So the one thing I'm going to drift off a little bit is it gives you the Hungarian medium toast oak, and I've got here a French light toast oak, and the only reason this is a spiral, the only reason I'm using this over the medium toast is the light toast is a little bit more aggressive, a little bit harsher tannins, which usually I'm not really looking for in a wine. I get plenty of that from the seeds, but this kit with the seeds, no seeds, it just has really, really light tannin. And I'm really concerned that in order to build a good structure and body, usually you need those tannins. You get those aggressive tannins early on, and then they start to polymerize with each other and create the long chain tannins and create the mouthfeel that you want. So, this wine's got tons of fruit. It is very, very fruity, but it just doesn't have a lot of tannin. So I'm going to do everything I can to pump the tannin a little bit in this wine, especially because I do want to be able to let it sit a while, 1 to 3 years. And that tannin will also help just protect it from, oxidation later on and just encourage that wine to be able to age a little bit longer. The other thing you'd want to do right now is you want to make sure this is topped up all the way to the neck. And if you look at the surface area here, it's probably 50 times more than the surface area at the neck of this. So you have a couple options. You can top up with wine, but I've already added some wine to this, so I've already kind of pumped the kit up a little bit more than what the kit instructions recommend. And I've also added a little bit less water than what the kit instructions recommend. So I feel pretty comfortable adding water to top up. So I'll top this up all the way to the neck with water, and then I've just got to put my airlock on. And I'd like to top this up just a little bit more. So normally I top it up right about to there. But I'm going to leave just a little bit because sometimes funny things can happen when you first put this wine in a carboy. So if it decides to degas a lot, or it decides it wants to bubble a little bit, I just want to make sure it doesn't push any wine up through the airlock. And the airlock that I'm using is the S trap style versus the cup in cup style. And I really prefer these over these cup in cups. These cup in cup style ones, they have more surface area, so they evaporate quicker. And when it gets down to about 3/8 of an inch or even a 1/2 inch, it can start letting air into that wine if you look at the way these things are designed. So these ones, they evaporate super, super slow. You almost never have to top them up. And it's really, really obvious if it's out of water or low on water. And it's also really forgiving if it's low on water. It can have very, very little. And I'm actually not using water. I'm using vodka in this one just to, it's just a little bit more sanitary, and that's always good when you're making wine. So that's really it. I'll top this up in about a day, maybe 2 days, once I've kind of made sure that nothing crazy is going to happen here. And I'm going to keep an eye on it. So if it builds up more than about 3/8 of an inch of sediment on the bottom, then I'll rack it off the sediment and then top up once again, because again, the gross lees, or the sediment that's the heavier sediment, as it kind of decays over time, it can produce the hydrogen sulfide, which produces mercaptan, and it's just bad stuff, and it's harder to get rid of. So the best thing to do with that is just prevent it from ever happening in the first place. I don't know if I'll make more updates on this video, to tell you the truth, because it's going to be a long, long time before I do anything again. But if you subscribe to my channel, maybe in a year from now, you'll see one more update on this Cellar Craft Showcase wine project. Thanks for watching.